Okay, welcome to another solve video. Today I'll be solving a puzzle that Potentially Perplexing Puzzles designed, and that's me. So I've designed this puzzle. This is the Reluctant Draw puzzle. We released this a couple of years ago now. So designed this, released this a couple of years ago. Have recently just done the last run of these puzzles. So this is a puzzle we won't be making any longer, but I thought it's a good opportunity to show what the actual solution of the puzzle is, and talk about some of the nuances of the puzzle as well. So very quickly then, what can we see straight away on the puzzle? Well, there is a drawer, hence the name. The drawer is reluctant to open. The drawer will not open. And there is also a lid on this compartment here. That lid has a little bit of movement, but again, will not open. On the back end here, we have what looks like a little button that we can push in and out, and it runs all the way through both sides of the puzzle. On this side, it's just blank, and on the other side, there is a threaded insert there, what looks like a threaded insert where something can perhaps screw into this. And then on the back end of the puzzle, again, we have a panel that has no movement at all, but a panel there that looks like it might open up at some point during the solve. So the first step of this puzzle is to, we also have this dial here as well, this dial that spins round and round and round, and again, can not open the reluctant drawer. So the first step here is going to be actually removing this dial from the puzzle. Now we'll just spin and spin and spin, so we can't unscrew it. However, if we invert the puzzle and it's going to be hard and difficult to show this on camera, but if we face the puzzle with the dial pointing down, and then we just rotate the puzzle slightly whilst we spin that dial, you should be able to hear and feel a ball bearing that falls into place. And I can feel that we've caught it now, or I did, sorry, before I just moved the puzzle slightly, so I just got to find it again. And I find that if you just slowly rotate the dial below, and then there we go, we've got it now. So I can now start unscrewing this, and you'll see if I bring this forward, I've actually started to unscrew this, and that's because we've caught the ball bearing in the right position, and it's actually completely stopped this inner piece from spinning. So the ball bearing acts as a stopper, and now that allows us to unscrew the dial that's on the front there, the little drawer knob. So now we have a threaded piece, and we can use that threaded piece in here, in this side piece. So we can just thread that into the puzzle like so, and then this pushes this in and out. This doesn't actually allow you to do anything if you just do it this way, then your finger couldn't do earlier. However, it does allow you now to do this. It allows us to elongate one side. So if we push this all the way through, it elongates this side. We can then hold this with our finger and then pull this side, and that actually pulls both pieces out, which isn't possible unless you have this tool, and if you have this dial tool. So now we've pulled both pieces out, we can use gravity. Sometimes, depending on the nature of the fit of the puzzle or the nature of the humidity, you might just need to use your finger as well. So you might just need to get your finger in this hole and sort of get this pulled out, or alternatively use the tool to pull the drawer out slightly, then unscrew it, then do this method, and you've got a bit of purchase on the actual drawer you can pull out. But all being well, you can just use gravity, and if you use gravity, line these two pins up perfectly, and the drawer will pull out. You need to I'll try and show it from this angle, but you need to almost get them all the way out and then slowly adjust them as you tilt the box forward. So I'll show you what that looks like on the reset, sorry. So if we get the drawer out, if I pull them all the way out, the drawer won't reset. But then as soon as I get it in the right position, like so, the drawer resets itself. So now we can pull those back out again, and the drawer is open. The drawer is open, but the puzzle is not solved, okay? There is a prize to find in the drawer, and the prize is more than this ball bearing. That is not the prize. Just to quickly show how that works, you can see there, I'll try and get the camera to focus in, there's that stopper. So the ball bearing sits just in that slot there, and then when this dial moves around, it catches on that ball bearing. You see that it catches on the ball bearing and then stops it. But without the ball bearing in place, that dial can just spin and spin and spin. So that's how that mechanism works. So we get something else out of the puzzle. Now we have a ball bearing in here. And we also have this center dowel piece that was holding and retaining our first tool. All right, so this is our first tool. If you let go of these are going to snap back together. So now they're in that reset position and you will not be able to reset the drawer. So in order to reset the drawer, you just need to get the dowels apart again, like so, and then the drawer will reset. So the next step of the puzzle then is this is a very versatile piece from the puzzle, because not only does it allow us to remove this first dial, it's also going to allow us to unlock the next step. The next step is we need to place the ball bearing into this back compartment of the drawer. So originally it's in this front compartment, and we need to take this ball bearing and place it in the back compartment. Now when it's placed in the back compartment, we then need to reset the puzzle. So put the drawer all the way back in. Just find that sweet spot like so. And then we need to invert the puzzle. And what we're doing now is we are going to be moving the ball bearing around inside the puzzle until we can hear the ball bearing no longer. And it might take a couple of minutes. You just need to go back and forth, back and forth. I actually think I've got it already. So a quick way to check is just doing this. And if you can't hear that ball bearing slide back and forth in the puzzle, then it's been trapped in the correct location. And then we need to open the drawer upside down, like so. And I know that the ball bearing has been trapped because otherwise it would be spilling out all over the table. And with the drawer in the out position, we then tilt the puzzle upside down. And I don't know if you just heard or the camera picked it up, but the ball now has fell into a cavity. And that cavity is around about here in the puzzle. So right now the ball bearing is behind the drawer. So there is a recess up here for the ball bearing to in the second compartment. So if essentially my finger will track the ball bearing, right? So as I push this, the ball bearing comes to here, and then we invert the puzzle, turn it upside down, the ball bearing drops into a channel here, and then I can pull the drawer back out, and as we pull the drawer back out, the ball bearing can drop down into the empty cavity now behind the drawer. So what we can do now is we place the drawer back into the position, we make sure that our dowels are lined up, so we can line these up for the drawer to drop back into position. And then we want to hold the drawer at a slight angle. So we want to kind of hold the drawer at a slight angle where we are encouraging the ball bearing to sit behind this panel. So it's going to be difficult to show on camera exactly what I mean, but you might just need to free the drawer up slightly, allow that ball bearing to fall somewhere here behind this panel. And then as I push the drawer in, you can see we pop the panel out. And I can just grab that panel with my finger and you'll see there's the ball bearing, and that is how that mechanism works. So essentially, here is the cavity that I was talking about a moment ago. The ball bearing sits here, here, or here. It doesn't really matter. I like to get it in the corner, but either of the positions will do. And then as you push the drawer back into position, it essentially just pops this panel off that's held on with two strong magnets. You'll also notice outside of that panel, or inside that panel I should say, drop this pin. So that pin is just retained in this panel. When we push the panel off, we get access to this pin. So now we have our ball bearing, we have our pin, we have our panel, but we still don't have our prize. So by this point, we've pretty much got access to the entirety of the puzzle, right? We can see exactly how this mechanism works. That's how that mechanism retains the drawer. These two pins in this retaining bit of wood will not let the drawer open if both of them are connected, but if we do that initial mechanism, that's what frees that drawer up. Now we have this pin, we have this ball, we have the magnet piece. What we'll need to do now is take this pin and open the drawer back up. And you'll notice what we had inside this dowel was we had a hole. So this hole here, you can see this hole that we've got in the puzzle, in this dowel piece. Now that hole can also line up with this hole. And if we line both up, we can actually drop this pin into place. So let's just make sure they're lined up. Sometimes the hole needs to be the other way around. And that's lined up perfectly now. So that is now sitting flush inside that drawer piece. If it sticks slightly proud, that's okay. In some of the later production models, we made this piece a bit shorter just for more consistency. So it might just sit proud, but the key thing is that it can go inside the actual box. Okay, so the pin now should slide into the puzzle like so. And then what we do is we turn the puzzle back upside down, and we are also going to need to make sure these pins are in the right position. So this part requires a little bit of dexterity, because you need to be able to line those pins up with the holes like so. Keep hold of each side, so I like to do it like with this grip. Keep the puzzle in the upside down position, and I can feel that that pin that we've just placed in the drawer has dropped into a catch and a latch. And now what can happen is, as I push the drawer in, I push the latch, and as the latch gets pushed, I can turn the puzzle into the upright position. And now what that allows is us to finally open this last compartment of the drawer. And inside here is a little velvet bag, and we can open the velvet bag, and inside my copy I placed a lucky penny prize. And inside all of the production copies is a clover, a 4-leaf clover, signifying that you've found the end of the puzzle. There's also a little congratulations card in there as well, and a little bit of a play on words in the fact that you were the drawer is reluctant, but also you have been lucky. Reluctant, lucky. It's a bit of a tedious link, but I thought it was fun to actually solve the puzzle. You've increased your luck dramatically in the reluctant drawer puzzle. So that is the reluctant drawer puzzle. Really, I really enjoy this puzzle. It's probably my favorite design of all of our puzzles we've made. I really like the mechanisms and how everything is very open and fair to see. So this piece does come out, and so I can quickly show how this works. But this piece here, this little wooden slider piece, fits inside that slot there. It's got a strong magnet at the front which draws it to the front of the puzzle. There is also a secondary pin, so this pin sits inside the front of the puzzle like so. So in the reset position, here's what this looks like. This sits inside here, and this sits inside there. So that's it in the reset position, and then this top piece that has our logo on there to signify the end of the puzzle also has the retaining hole as well. So that's where that pin sits to not allow you to pull this out at the beginning of the puzzle. Once you solve this, there is a little slider mechanism underneath this wooden piece that this pin fits into, and then as you push the drawer, essentially that pulls this piece of wood back like so, and allows that pin to drop and this to be opened when you've got the correct gravity on the puzzle. So to reset the puzzle then, it's just a case of making sure that we have this sliding block in place. This shouldn't need to be removed. I'm only really showing this so you can see how that mechanism works. So essentially how this works is that pin retains in this block from down here. So you get it to fall into this position, and then you move the pin, and as you move the pin, it moves the block. So that's how that works. So we can put this back in, put that pin back in, and as that moves in, you'll see that can't now push all the way forward. And now we can put our velvet bag with our little lucky coin inside there, and we can close the lid up. We just want to make sure the bag doesn't get in the way. There we go. The lid's now closed up. Then to reset that, we need to invert the puzzle, and we just need to get the pin back inside here first. So sorry, we need to get our pin back inside. So our pin goes in like that. We then close the puzzle up slightly so that pin's not going to fall out as we turn the puzzle over. Then we're going to remove our dowels, push our drawer back. And as we push our drawer back, we can feel that the pin engages the drawer. And now that's locked up. So that sliding piece, that pin engaged it, allowed the pin to drop back into place. And as the pin dropped into place, this kind of gets snapped back into position and closes that locking piece that sits inside here. So essentially that piece of wood goes back slightly as you push the drawer in. That pin then drops down into the lid to retain the lid. And then this wooden piece naturally wants to get attracted back to that magnet that it's being held in position with. So that's how that works. We can then remove the pin. And how I like to do this is I like to put this in last, just because it makes this step a little bit easier. We put that ball bearing into position. We make sure both of the dowels are pulled all the way out. So you'll see the dowels are all the way out of the puzzle. Then I can unscrew this, and we just want to make sure these don't snap back into position. A little tip here, actually, something I've done in the past, is get these out as far as possible and then use this piece to just go between the 2 pins. So you can just see there, I've got this between the 2 pins. And by doing that, it just means that those 2 pins can't snap back into place, i.e. these 2 dowels can't snap back into place. And that just allows us to screw our first tool back on. So this tool can now go back on the puzzle, screw that all the way back on. I just hold the dowel like so, give it a little tighten up. It doesn't need to be too tight, but just tight enough that it won't undo itself with friction if you pull on this dowel hard enough. And then we can turn the puzzle back round. We can take hold of our 2 dowels, remove this piece, and then we're just going to slide this back. Now, make sure that ball bearing is in that cavity. So that ball bearing needs to be in that cavity as a start position. And then draw can slide back in. Use the gravity and the pin location just to make sure our draw is in the right position, like so. Now that's all the way back in. We can now put these back together. So these 2 dowels, these are 2 retaining dowels with the pins on, they hold the drawer now, so the drawer won't pull out. And then finally, we take the other pin, it goes into the recess, into the hole inside the last panel, and that last panel just fits nice and neatly back into the back of the puzzle. And that is Reluctant Drawer solved and reset. I hope you enjoyed that puzzle. I'll hopefully be doing more solve videos similar to this going forward. So if there's anything you guys want to see, just leave a comment down below, and I'll be more than happy to try and create a solve video for it if I have it in my collection. Thanks for watching. See you next time.